Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our digital marketing webinar titled Marketing Science in 2019. This is Andy Henton from Inside Scientific, and it is my pleasure to be your host for today's event. It has actually been quite some time since I was in the moderator's hot seat here at the studio, so I'm quite excited to be participating in this session and to have the opportunity to share the virtual stage with our friends at ASIO Network. We have a great session planned today, packed with valuable insights and tailored to address much of the input that was collected during our registration process. So I'm sure I can speak for everyone that's been a part of this production in saying thank you. Thank you for sharing information about your current marketing challenges, what's working, what isn't, and most importantly, where you hope to see improvement this coming year. Let's meet our presentation group joining us from ASIO Network in Manchester. Collectively, Frank Barker, Stuart Milne, Dave Cockett, Chris Walker, and Rolf Eastoe will take us through 7 short sections touching on key aspects of planning and creating impactful content, how to leverage video as a means to tell stories that connect with a scientific audience, email marketing best practices, key points on the ever-evolving field of search engine optimization, how managers and teams should approach marketing analytics to better prove ROI, and finally, touching on the importance of building lasting relationships through great marketing. But before I hand off to our first presenter, Frank Barker, I'm going to run our first audience poll.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody joining us from around the globe. Welcome to the ASIO Network Marketing Science webinar. My name is Frankie. I head up our marketing operations team, and I'm currently in my 7th year working within scientific marketing industry. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our webinar partner, Inside Scientific. Andy and the team have walked us through every step of the process, from preparing content to the AV technical checks and promotion. So thanks, guys. We very much hope that you will leave the webinar with some actionable insights into how you can market your science using some of the science of marketing. Now, the format for the webinar today is a brief introduction into our scientific marketing journey and the challenges we foresee for both yourselves and us. Now, we then move on to the subject experts who collectively have over 50 years experience working within digital marketing. And finally, we pull it all together with some micro moment client content stories before an open forum Q&A. Now, first of all, I'd like to give you a very short introduction into our marketing science journey. So back in 2001, having worked in the advanced ceramics industry for over a decade in the 90s, our founder, Dr. Ian Birkby, recognized that engineers, designers, and scientists often required educating in the potential uses and applications of advanced materials before they could utilize them in their products and processes. It was this recognition of market demand and the emerging power of the internet which led to the launch of our first site, asom.com, the A to Z of materials. Now, by 2003, we had hit 3 million visitors for the first time with ASOM, and now started to add more to our offering with News Medical, ASO Nano, and ASO Optics. In the years that followed, we added 6 more websites, another 50 million visitors, and we're in a position to take it to the next level with our first round of capital raising in 2012. Since 2012, we're now up to 38 people. Our suite of sites receive loads of traffic. Our attractive content has led to over 600,000 consenting GDPR-compliant subscribers. We have many long-lasting client relationships, which can, of course, be explained by the fact that we have an average client ROI of over 700%. However, perhaps the most significant point here in relation to today's webinar is that we've never paid for a dime for all that traffic. All of our 85 million plus visitors arrive from organic traffic. And throughout our journey, we've always stayed true to our principal aim, sharing science, technology, and medical stories with people who can make a difference. For all digital marketers in 2019, and no doubt one of the reasons that you're all here today, is that one of our key challenges is that B2B prospects conduct around 12 searches before engaging with a specific brand. Quite simply, If you aren't there during every stage of the buyer's journey, someone else will be. Across the AZO network, we're fortunate enough to have around 6 million people per month interacting with over 700,000 content items. Consequently, this big data allows us to generate many insights. One relevant example being that around 62 million visitors a year find content on the AZO network using search engines. We share many of the same problems as everyone in the audience. We recently ran a survey of over 100 marketing professionals working within science, engineering, and healthcare to discover the latest trends and insights amongst our peers. When asked, what is your company's biggest marketing challenge? We found that generating leads and creating content were the top two answers. This was in fact consistent with our pre-webinar poll question to you guys, with lead generation and content creation also topping the charts. So interestingly, proving ROI and attributing revenue are more important to you guys than our survey sample size from the State of Scientific Marketing last year. We talk about digital marketing being a fast-paced industry, and this shows exactly just how quickly things can grow in importance. It's interesting to reflect on how, as a digital marketer, it's perhaps both the best of times, but also the worst of times. Although the digital tools available to us all have revolutionized marketing, the explosion of tools, coupled with the growth of the cloud and cheap computing services, has led to significant confusion and complexity. Now, this famous slide, the Martech 5000, which is more like 6,000 now, provides a graphical representation of the problem. So even when you zoom in, the complexity is astonishing. My key reason for showing you this is that we see one of our key roles is to help you by simplifying this problem. Over the years, we've developed a strategy to simplify how to market science. This strategy is based on what we call our circle of success. Create great content, use targeted distribution methods, whether it be via email or via the web or mobile, then pull it all together with a scientific marketing analytics platform, AZO Intel. Now, this illustrates who is engaged with your content, how they got there, what content works, what doesn't, and where your leads are coming from. All backed up with real-time reporting and APIs that talk to leading CRMs and marketing automation platforms. Well, that's enough from me. Let's dive into some of the specific digital marketing activities and channels. I'm now going to hand over to our first product expert, Stuart Milne, who's going to run us through what makes great content.
Hi guys, Stuart here, and I'm going to talk to you about what makes great content. So let's dive straight in. Over the past 17 plus years, we've built a vast network of scientific content. Our websites hold in excess of 700,000 content items, receiving an annual total of more than 85 million unique visitors. What's more impressive is that in those 17 years, we've not paid a single dime for that traffic. The growth of the network has been generated purely off the back of organic traffic. Relevant, timely, quality content that's been the bedrock of our growth strategy and has allowed us to gain significant insights into what it takes to build well-optimized content. My aim today is to share with you some of those insights and provide you with key takeaways that will allow you to improve your content, your strategy, and the performance. As with all of these presentations today, a key takeaway document and additional information can be found in the Resource Center. If we start to drill into our content data, we've found that about 85% of our 85 million visitors spend most of their time on the article content. Let's look at that in a little bit more detail. What you see on screen in front of you here is visitor data for our article and product pages from the last 90 days of traffic across the whole of the AZO network. The articles have received a few million visitors with a total engagement time of about 43 years. And in that same period, product pages received over 186,000 visitors with a total engagement of about 1 year and 17 days. These simple stats illustrate a key point. Articles are great for engagement and education, whilst product pages are good for visitors in the buying phase. The stats presented in the previous slide are a sign of the content marketing funnel in action. Not everybody who goes online is ready to buy. The reality is that only a proportion of online users are in a position to buy at any one time. Google data indicates that around 60% of all information gathering is done before a site visitor contacts a supplier or vendor. The challenge for marketeers is to ensure they have optimized content available for all stages of the buying process, from awareness, engagement, right through to purchase and post-purchase. As you'll see from the next slide, this is a relatively common issue. We recently surveyed over 100 of our customers to discover the common threads in the issues they face. When asked about lead generation, 36% of businesses believe that content marketing was the most effective strategy to generate leads. Ensuring your content is focused on your buyer personas, i.e., what do your clients want to read and how do they want to read it, is more important than ever, and we'll drill into this and some techniques in the next few slides. For those of you who are interested in learning a little bit more, a copy of the full survey results can be found in our State of Scientific Marketing ebook, available in the resource section of this webinar. As we've seen in the outline stats, content powers the customer journey and helps shape the customer experience. We work to 3 general rules: keep it focused, provide quality relevant answers, and offer appropriate actions. These rules translate into key aspects that make up great content. In terms of titles, we've found that 7 to 8 words work best. For example, for an informative, engaging top-of-the-funnel article like the one on screen, Antibody Arrays for Multiplex Protein Analysis, the title is non-specific to a product but is still relevant to someone interested in learning more about protein analysis. It's also important to structure your articles with clear H2 headers. In addition to SEO benefits, they also break up the text into blocks and allow your target audience to navigate the content and locate the relevant information. When we look at the body of the text, we found that the top performing articles in terms of traffic and engagement are between 800 to 1,000 words long, punctuated with appropriate and relevant calls to action. Later on in this webinar, my colleague Dave will provide more insights from a technical SEO perspective on keyword density. Moving on to calls to action, the graphics on the right provide 2 examples of call to actions, or CTAs as they're more commonly known. We would agree wholeheartedly with the HubSpot data that personalized call to actions perform significantly better than a basic CTA. They provide the visitor with clear direction for a next step. It's also important to consider that it's essential to align your CTAs with where the content piece sits within the funnel, from awareness to I want to buy. Don't ask someone to buy if they're reading an awareness piece, but instead provide them with an opportunity to receive additional information. Although we don't have time to go through some of the more detailed aspects of content production, some of the additional actions you can consider include performing a site audit. This will help you understand what content you have and if it needs updating, or if any of the links are broken, and much more. Reviewing your internal link structures to help determine if they are useful or inappropriate is a good practice. Are you providing links and insights from your images? Where are the links within your article? If you know how long people are spending reading your articles on average, you should be able to calculate the best place to insert CTAs. Some additional suggestions to add value to your content are adding video content, images, insight snippets. In other words, allow the reader to find the elements that are of interest to them quickly. Don't forget that writing for the web is very different to writing for print. It's important to make the experience easy for your target audience and provide value at each stage. Similarly, we found that restricting paragraphs to no more than 2 or 3 sentences is an effective strategy, and don't forget that your online desktop content will also have to work for a mobile device. So a quick summary on this section. Determine what each piece of content is designed to do. If it's lead generation, then at some point you'll be looking to capture the reader's details and offer something in return. This will ultimately dictate the style of content you decide to create. The examples I've just shared with you are designed for thought leadership and education, aimed at readers currently in the information gathering stage. If you're looking for brand awareness, you could be producing a press release or an interview. If it's lead generation you want, you might consider an ebook hidden behind a gated page. It's essential you're clear what your reason is for creating a new piece of content before starting. Moving on from the discussion on content to the next big problem that is faced by many of our customers, the conversation usually goes along the lines of the following. I know we should be doing more on content creation, but I just don't have the internal resources. Well, that's where we can help. With over 70 scientific writers, we can cover anything. We work with our clients to outline content goals and what the content should talk about. If you know you need content but have no titles or topics, we can help you. We can create an article talking about your new product, using your new product in an application or industry. We can create content that positions you as a thought leader in a particular area, targeting a specific audience. The process is simple. You tell us what you want to write about, we go off and write it, and you approve the final copy. The outcome is a well-optimized piece of content with a specific intention. Okay, so some key takeaways. Great content is the foundation of any successful digital marketing strategy, from attract to inform to educating through to purchase and delight. Yes, you can buy your way to the top of the page by using Google AdWords, but long-lasting evergreen content provides a much greater return on investment. Be clear about where your content sits in the customer journey and ensure your content looks good on mobile. Make it easy for your audience to engage with your content and use appropriate and well-informed calls to action. And finally, measure what content works for you in terms of traffic and engagement. Okay, that's it from me. I'm going to pass back to Andy now for another audience poll.
Thanks, Stuart, and thank you, Frankie, for kicking things off. These first two sections clearly demonstrate that it isn't just about having a digital presence online, but rather brands must be continually increasing their digital footprint in today's competitive market. Now, once again, our second poll today is intended to hone in on specific challenges you are currently facing. I am now going to hand things over to our next presenter, Chris Walker, who's going to share some insights on using video effectively at any stage of the buying cycle. Go ahead, Chris.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Walker. I head up the video team here at AZA Network. And over the past 6 years, we've worked with companies within the scientific and medical industry to produce an array of videos, be it product videos, application-focused videos, and testimonial videos, to name but a few. Video production has changed considerably over the past 6 years, not only in relation to production, but also in the manner in which the world digests B2B video content. The presentation today is going to touch upon our video production and distribution experiences and what we believe are the key issues you need to consider. I should also add that our video experiences on behalf of clients have taken us to 4 continents, from the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil through to Miami-Dade Forensic Office in the US. As with any marketing activity, one of the primary issues is, who are your target audience? Who are you trying to reach, and what are you trying to say? Secondly, how are they going to view and digest your message? As you can see, current data indicates an average of 1.5 hours of video content is viewed per day, and it is an essential element in any B2B marketing mix. And as you can see, HubSpot survey data indicates that effective video production and distribution works for both sales and marketing. Considering a typical buying process today, it starts with a search, product info, perhaps product reviews, application notes, and then hopefully a purchase. Video can help in all of the buying stages, from I want to know, I want to do, through to I want to buy. One of our key tips is to use the testimonial power of experts, either in-house or researchers using your equipment. The resource material that accompanies this presentation provides links to examples of these types of videos. Although it's well established that quality video enhances the marketing mix, many marketers shy away from it due to some of the challenges. For many marketers, video production is not a mainstream skill set, and there is a fear of, we've only got one chance to get this right, with a failed video effort showing your product or company in a bad light, having potential personal and corporate implications. The next few slides provide some guidance on how to overcome these challenges and shoot video in a stress-free environment. One of the obvious initial challenges is the time available to work through concept, planning, shoot, editing, and distribution. All of these segments include costs that can either be internal or external. A key decision for the marketing manager is how deeply do they wish to be involved. Do they want a production company to cover all the activities, or do they have the bandwidth and desire to drive all elements of the process? As with any video, it all starts with the idea and concept, and with that comes the following considerations. Who's your target audience? Academics, industry types, or do you want to focus on a particular application area? It may be a great idea, but can it be done? Or will obtaining permission to film in a mine in Alaska be a bit tricky? The distribution issues. What are you going to do with this video afterwards? Social, website, trade shows, email campaign? Can we produce once and distribute many times in different formats? Do I need voiceover? Can I maximize the output from my video by voiceovers in different languages? Does it make sense to include subtitles? And finally, timings. How long should my video be? Moving on to the next stage. Scripts are so important and are worthy of a significant amount of the time to be devoted to the process. Quite simply, if the script fails, the video project fails. It's also our experience that the ability to offer scientist-based scripting and storyboarding has helped considerably. For those of you not familiar with scripting, within the resource section, we provide an example script templates such as this one. On the shoot day, well thought out schedules and checklists are great. Who do you need to be there and when? How can the video be shot without closing down the lab or workshop? Considerable direction is often required in relation to the amateur actors who are often in a lab environment. The addition of a camera, lights, and a script only adds to the stress levels. Some of the key things to consider at this stage are to bring out professional passion and not waffle, to provide demonstrations but check that you have the permission to display all of the items in the shot, even in the background. Speak positively about your technology or company, but screen or retake any negative comments about competitors. And ensure you've evaluated the emotional intelligence of your video company director. Rushing the amateur actors only leads to longer shoots and lower quality. Post the shoot day, take a breath, but only for a couple of weeks until the first cut arrives. This is where you see the fruits of all of your preparation come into play. You know how long you want your video to be, who it's for, and where you want it to go. The editing process turns good into great, but you can't turn a lab shoot into Lord of the Rings. Have reasonable expectations. Within the editing suite, the footage can be cut back for social, processed into square format for Instagram, stock footage added, and third-party images to add a more cinematic feel. Hopefully now you've got a better understanding of the key issues related to video production, and you can see how the journey from the buyer persona to the finished product comes together. Of course, we have focused on video today, but many of these concepts apply in relation to webinar production. And I'd certainly like to thank Andy from our strategic partner, Inside Scientific, for their help today and work on other client projects. Thanks for your attention. Please feel free to download our various scripts and schedule templates from our list of resources. And if you have any questions, please ask away. Next, I'd like to introduce Dave Cockett, who is going to talk about understanding and improving SEO.
Okay, well, hello everybody. My name is Dave Cockett and I'm the Web Services Manager for ASO Network. This is my 20th year in digital marketing. I started my career in 1999 and in the early years worked for Lycos, Ask Jeeves, and for a short while MSM. I currently work with within the ASO Network SEO team and editorial teams, and I help manage our own SEO strategy. And I also work with our clients working directly on their websites and SEO strategy. In today's presentation, I want to provide you with a short overview of some of the key issues we've uncovered in dealing with clients in the scientific marketing space. And then we can't go into too much depth from a technical perspective during this time available, but we've posted additional resources and information about our SEO health check in the resources centre. On average, there are 40,000 searches in Google every second. That equates to 1.2 trillion searches per year. This highlights the magnitude of the opportunity and the importance of having a strong presence within Google, but it isn't easy. Each year, Google changes its search algorithm around 500 to 600 times, and while most of these changes are minor, Google occasionally rolls out major algorithmic updates, such as Google Panda and Google Penguin. That affects search results in significant ways. 2018 was one of the most intense years for search marketers, with Google making 9 major updates. One of the major updates in 2018 was Well, it's called the MEDIC update, and it was focused around the principle of EAT: expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. The slide displays a snippet from Google's Search Quality Evaluator guidelines on the subject. The EAT update was designed to recognise and promote sites that can display verifiable expertise, authority, and trust. With our own ASO network websites, especially within the content based around medical, we quickly realised the importance of reforming our pages and page architecture to ensure the expertise of the authors and reviewers and their qualifications were significantly more visible. This had a significant impact on our own results. We are currently at our highest ever, which are record high traffic levels of over 88 million visitors in a 12-month period. More impressively, just under 85% of that 88 million found us via an organic search. We've never paid Google for a dime. We approach our SEO and the way we work with our clients in the same way. We are always transparent and educational in regards to what SEO is and how Google works. And we want everyone involved to know what we're doing and why. Equally as important is how you measure and report how the changes are affecting the performance of the website, and we're going to look into this in more detail shortly. So how does Google work? Well, in 20 years, Google's main principle on how it ranks pages hasn't changed. And the first principle that Google looks at is relevance. Google prides itself on bringing back the most relevant results so that you always find exactly what you're looking for, but Google is just a robot. So all it can do is read specific parts of each page to understand what that page is relevant to. And it starts with the meta data, and first the meta page title. It then goes on to read the meta description, the keywords, and onto the H1. In these areas, it is critical to have a good keyword focus and structure. The metadata needs to be consistent and reinforce the same message in these most important areas. Google will then read the on-page content, starting with the H1 or the header, number 1. It is critical that it is consistent with the page title, and on each page give Google some on-page content to read, making sure it is consistent with the keyword focus of the metadata. We advise that the content should be around 3 to 4% keyword density, and always make sure that your content is written for the end user, but incorporate the keywords where it sounds natural. There are no shortcuts in relation to marketing on the web. Good quality, relevant and timely content is more important than ever. On many client sites, we advise doing this via a blog or learning center. The terminology is completely your preference. For each article you write, give it its own page and URL, so your website is ethically growing with more and more relevant content. And it's typically the bigger the websites with more quality, relevant content rank better more consistently. You can optimize every single piece of content. Again, have a good keyword focus while choosing the article topic, then implement the on-site meta as discussed previously. Again, the keyword should appear around 3 to 4% of the all article keyword density. Doing this also brings Google to the website more often, which brings more trust and strength. And at the bottom of each article, you can then implement an internal link to the most relevant existing page. It could be an application note or a product page or even a category page. This keeps Google within the website for longer and supports the strength of the internal page by Google reading it more often. To summarize, a bigger, more relevant website that can target a much bigger variation of keywords. So it gives you more page one positions, therefore more traffic and inquiries, and it helps internal pages rank better due to the internal linking strategy. So here's a couple of top tips. So we recommend that you use Google's own free tools when it comes to understanding how Google is reading your website. Google Search Console, formerly known as Webmaster, will help you understand if you have a working sitemap, if there are any broken links, 404s for example, and if there are any server errors that could be preventing Google from reading the website well enough. Utilize Google Analytics to understand how many visitors are using the site, how they are using the website, and what the inquiry rate is. Once you understand this, you can start to make improvements to the areas of the website that people aren't using or interacting with as you'd like. Conversion rate optimization and A/B split testing changes can dramatically increase the website inquiry rate. So on to measuring results. So obviously alongside implementing the SEO strategy, it's important to establish how to measure the success. We advise using the Google Keyword Planner to help with your keyword research. This provides you with a snapshot of the variations of the keywords your potential prospects are searching for. And once you have a definitive group of keywords, before implementing any changes, run a benchmark report. So you can see exactly where you are currently ranking in Google, and then every month update the report to show the progress. With the example above, you can see all of the keywords had a relatively poor ranking, but after implementing the fixes that we've outlined, they're all now on page 1. So what does that bring to you? Well, in this same example, they saw a 300% year-on-year organic traffic increase. Organic traffic now equates to over 72% of the entire website traffic. And in this particular instance, they were able to save over £24,000 per year by not spending as much on Google AdWords. So you can see that from the pie charts on the right. The bottom pie chart shows that last year over 55% of the website's traffic was paid for. This year it was less than 5%. So replacing PPC traffic with organic can save thousands. And there were additional benefits from this traffic increase. So organic traffic typically converts better, is better quality traffic, converts at a higher rate. So with this same example, and their number of online inquiries increased by over 36%, which was contact form submissions in this example. So as a whole, the website traffic was converting 23% higher, and organic traffic is now responsible for over 65% of the online inquiries. Here are some of the useful links, which again you'll be able to find in the resource center afterwards. And then, well as having the useful links within the resource center as well, you'll be able to see that we're happy to conduct a free no obligation health check to uncover any of your site's issues in more details. And we'll also be offering a free health check at PitCon from Tuesday the 19th to Thursday the 21st of March. So thank you again for your time today. I'm now going to pass you back to Andy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris and Dave, for leading those sections on video and SEO. It's clear from the stats you both shared that video is a content medium that works and is continuing to scale as a top format in the digital marketer's toolbox. However, obviously without a strong SEO plan, the impact of video may fall short of targets. So both very important. So we're going to launch 2 polls quickly back to back here. So thank you very much to everybody for your input. And now let's press on to our next section titled Effective Email Marketing with Stuart Milne.
Hi everybody, it's Stuart again. So we'll dive straight into effective email marketing. As I'm sure we're all aware, there are too many emails in circulation. The key issue for marketing managers is how to stand out from the crowd and generate positive interactions. Nevertheless, there is evidence to indicate that effective email marketing can generate positive returns. Thanks to our visitor numbers and the web footprint, we have built a high-quality database of 620,000 subscribers. We've never bought or rented any lists. The growth has only been organic with a sharp focus on GDPR compliant subscribers. We currently send out around 1.8 million emails per month across 96 subject-specific newsletters, broken down by sectors such as industry or subject, for example, aerospace, materials, or life sciences. A link to the full list of sample email newsletters can be found in the resource section of this webinar. And in the next few slides, I'm going to share with you some of the key issues from our experiences of building effective email marketing campaigns. We found that when starting out with an email campaign, you can break it out into 3 key areas. What's the strategy, or who you're going to target and why? How are you going to segment your audience? And the ultimate design. When formulating the strategy, it's worth answering some of the following questions. First of all, who is the ideal recipient and what action do you wish them to trigger? What are your specific goals? A valid goal may be to increase signups to a future webinar or download an ebook. What do you think is reasonable in relation to regular hits on the subscriber's inbox? Focus on providing relevant, quality, valuable content in a timely manner, being helpful but not annoying. Think about send times. Is it global or local? If it's a global campaign, have you got a system that allows for optimized time zone delivery? And what's the content plan? Less is often more in this area. Consider if the generation of attractive content is the key first step rather than rushing out an email to hit a damaging deadline. Finally, what constitutes success and how will you measure it? A number of downloads, form fills, or perhaps absolute sales? Although a logical extension of your strategy, segmentation is a key element in your email marketing plan. Is it demographics such as job role, industry, or company size, or is it based on recent behavior? What did they recently click on? What did they open? Where are they in the sales funnel? Individual behavior recognition is becoming a key tactic in segmenting a list to drive better personalization in email campaigns and improve the experience the recipient has when engaging with your email content. Using marketing automation to drive this type of activity is also becoming increasingly common, although it does require a significant commitment and investment in resources. An obvious statement, but does the design of your email earn the click? Over the years, we've broken down the design process into 3 key areas: capture, convince, and close. The capture covers the subject line and opening gambit. This is how you seize the interest of your email recipient. It's your first opportunity to engage with the individual and earn their trust by providing something valuable and enticing. Large eye-catching images work really well here to capture the attention and lead the recipient to an opening pitch or hook. Some key takeaways to apply here are: don't use overstocked imagery as it tends to provide less relevance, it becomes recognizable, and it's generally less effective. We find one big image often works better than lots of smaller ones. And use short titles that speak directly to the user's interests. Once you've gained the initial trust, it's then about convincing that person to continue reading through your email. The opening line must drive straight into the value the individual will gain from whatever it is you're offering them. A common mistake we see is the temptation to communicate everything in this area. This section does not need to be chapter and verse, but remember, you contacted them, not the other way around. Some key takeaways to think about when developing this section of your emails is: make your main copy easy to scan. Can readers pick out the key information easily? White space is very important for readability. It can be tempting to cram as much material into your email as possible, and this is a mistake. Less is often more. And consider including links in the body of the text that duplicate the calls to action. Finally, the close. The closing section is often overlooked and can become an afterthought. It's just as important as your opening pitch. Your strategy and goals should dictate your close. Some key takeaways to consider here are: avoid read more. It's too generic and does not evoke clear value to the reader. Don't ask for too much. Make it an easy action to follow. And be concise and clear on how to follow through on the action. So in conclusion, your strategy is key. Define your goals, decide on your email type, make sure you segment your audience, and define how you're going to measure the results. The 3 C's for the design of the email are important: capture, convince, and close. Use relevant images and short titles that speak directly to the recipient. Make sure you use easy to scan content with consistent CTAs, and avoid generic CTAs like read more. Okay, so next up is Frankie Barker, and he's going to talk to you about proving ROI.
Hello again. So I, like many people online today, am a marketing manager and I have a marketing budget. Now, as marketing managers with budgets, we want to make sure that what we do adds value and has a positive contribution to the company sales results. Now, following on from the content, distribution, and SEO activities covered by my colleagues, I'd now like to look briefly at how to measure success and return on investment. So just to give you an idea at the scale at which we work, the amount of data points we process, and the insights we can gain from that data, in the last 12 months, we processed over 370,000 sales leads across the AZO network. If we assume the average order value of products on our site is $10,000 US, and we use a conservative 1% conversion rate and include our revenue data, we can calculate an average client ROI of over 700%. Now, this is a very brief example of the brutal data and business analysis that needs to be conducted to ensure your inbound marketing activities are a real benefit. Of course, those sales leads don't just walk in and complete the buy now form. Prospecting customers are at various stages in the buying process when they engage with content, and it's important to understand the numbers and engagement levels at each stage. We can use this idealized sales funnel to illustrate these points. Equally, we're well aware that there are other models for the customer journey, but we like to use this idealized sales funnel. It's no longer enough to know how many visitors came to your website or how many form fill-ins you received. You need to be able to understand the whole customer journey and how you are or aren't, in some cases, satisfying the demands of each prospect in terms of content, calls to action, mobile or desktop visits. So I'm sure a lot of you will use analytical software of some form or another that helps you to understand the journey. Now, I'd like to illustrate some of these key points using our analytics platform. This slide indicates an example page from our AZO Intel analytics platform. I appreciate several of you in the audience have used this previously, but it hopefully allows us to quickly understand the key benefits of understanding the customer journey. I should also say that in the interests of GDPR compliance, everybody's favorite subject, Adam has given me permission to use this data. So using the AZO Intel platform, we can see how he found the site, what search term he used, what he did next, how long he was there. In fact, Adam has had over 80 visits in total to the AZO network, and we can view that whole customer journey in a fully GDPR compliant manner. On the back of this data, you can determine what content is working, what isn't, where you have gaps, and where you need to provide more incentives to encourage an interaction. A valuable ebook download, perhaps, or even an explainer video. So it's great that we can generate lots of data on our prospect and customer activities. But how do we generate effective business transactions? Now, for many organizations, the step after generating interaction data and the step before it becomes actionable is to add it to the CRM. As part of our scientific marketing survey, we asked over 100 marketing managers, which CRM do you use? We found that Salesforce was the most widely used, closely followed by Microsoft Dynamics. Now, interestingly, around 18% of companies didn't use a CRM. The key takeaway here is that you need to integrate the data on your customer journeys from your analytics platforms into your CRMs and marketing automation platforms. Admittedly, some marketing automation platforms cover this integration, but they can be resource intensive for smaller organizations and often have a steep learning curve. In simple terms, as Gartner indicate, if you cannot enable these analytics to business intelligence integrations, you are faced with business intelligence silos, and you miss out on significant commercial opportunities. So continuing with our AZO Intel example, perfect alignment is where business intelligence on prospect interactions is passed seamlessly through the CRM and into the hands of the most competent, geographically relevant, subject expert salesperson. And it all happens in real time. Typically, this is achieved using an API or application programming interface, or in simple terms, a connector. So this process can be further enhanced by the addition of lead scoring. Although there are various methods to doing this, in our business, we break down scoring leads to two factors: physical characteristics and lead behavior. Now, physical characteristics can be anything from job title, country, company size, seniority, etc. Whilst lead behavior can be scored by browsing history, email responses, completed forms, or brochure downloads. So to give you an example, a working example, if you imagine a COO of a US Fortune 500 company responds to your email campaign, then browses your solution pages before requesting a quote, these are all positive contributions that would objectively contribute to a high lead score. So Chief Operating Officer as job title scores 10 points. US company scores 20 points. Fortune 500 company scores an extra 20 points. Email open scores 5, and each solutions page that he looks at is worth 2. Request for quote, an extra 20 points. Now all you have to do is choose your threshold for a sales qualified lead, say greater than 50 points, and you have an automated lead qualification and rota system. Now, to summarize the key takeaways for proving ROI. Number 1, understand where your prospect starts, where they finish, and why. Integrate your platforms. Try to avoid any manual Excel footslogging and the dreaded Excel upload. Ensure you have cross-company discipline in how people use your CRM. Remember the adage, if it isn't in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. And consider automatic scoring and lead qualification for your leads to further align sales and marketing. So thanks for listening. I look forward to fielding any questions on your biggest challenges when proving ROI and best CRM practices. Andy.
Great sections, Frankie and Stuart. Each of these topics remind us all of how important it is to plan your work and work the plan. Okay, we have one final poll to share with our audience. Next, we will hear from Rolf Eastoe, who will lead us through a section titled Customer Journeys and Micro Moments. Rolf, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for attending. Hope you're finding it beneficial. I'm Rolf Eastoe. I head up the sales team here at AZO Network. I've been involved in digital marketing since the early 2000s and had the pleasure of working with many of the major scientific equipment manufacturers in our fields, particularly in relation to digital marketing campaigns. What I'd like to do is just share a little bit with you today about some of our key thoughts on how digital marketing has changed and evolved as it has done so much over particularly the last 3 or 4 years. We've worked hard over the past few years to help clients make as much sense of what a strong content marketing strategy looks like and how this helps to shape the buyer's journey. Now, micro moments was a term first coined by Google a couple of years ago in relation to how and why people find and interact with content on the web. Their research, using their not insignificant data resources, determined that all web-related activities can be particularly defined by 4 micro moments. What are they? Well, they're I want to know, I want to do, I want to go, and I want to buy. Now that I say it, probably something that you're all reasonably familiar with and resonates with you. Although many of you in your day-to-day activities may be faced with the pressure of just get more leads or how many leads did that program generate, the harsh reality in today's rapidly shifting marketplace is that at any given time, only 3% of the people are in the I want to buy phase. Yet this still remains the most well-worn path that many of you tread month in, month out, budget cycle by budget cycle. Consequently, your marketing strategies have to genuinely reflect all of these stages. And how can you satisfy the needs of your potential prospects and clients at the time they decide is right via the medium they want to use to consume your content? Interestingly, being mobile friendly is not only important for B2C businesses. We can all play in the I want to buy moment, and many of us still do, from the ubiquitous must-have trade show presence to burning through hard-earned marketing dollars with Google ad plays. But the real challenge is to audit your existing content and ask yourselves how well are you represented in the all-important I want to know, I want to do, and I want to go moments. That's where the real riches lie nowadays, and you have to be committed and serious about what you want this to look like for your business. Let's just take a moment to review some of these stages in relation to marketing science. Throughout the presentation, I'll briefly reference publicly available information relating to one of our long-standing clients, Brooker. Great example here with Brooker. They've provided trusted solutions for many years, encompassing a wide range of analytical techniques from magnetic resonance to mass spectrometry and chromatography through to microanalysis, infrared, and Raman spectroscopy, X-ray spectroscopy, and elemental analysis. So they allow us to share a relatable, wide-ranging example. In the I want to know moment, someone is potentially exploring or researching, but are perhaps not yet in purchasing mode. They want useful information and maybe even inspiration, but certainly not the hard sell. Although there are no shortcuts to the production of quality content, one tip is to consider using challenge-like thought leadership interviews with well-respected external users of your products or industry insights from internal product champions. You're simply sharing your stories at this point and offering potential solutions to an engaged user. In the I want to do moments, they may come before or after the purchase. Either way, these are how-to moments when people want help with getting things done or potentially trying something new. It's often powerful and useful to embed video within your I want to do content. This idea being well supported by data from Google that recently disclosed how-to related searches on YouTube are growing at 70% year on year. Additionally, calls to action or CTAs in your I want to do content can lead to calls for assistance or further information. Again, these can be thoughtfully crafted and designed to make the next step on the journey a simple and easy one for the user to take. Although the I want to go moments are very relatable to many of us in consumer behavior, in things like trying to find restaurants, hotels, and the like, something that we're all familiar with, in the B2B space, they can directly relate to attending physical or virtual events and are often best served by focused email campaigns supported by relevant, engaging content. Of course, if your content strategy works, what you share and distribute with your potential customers and users will be well optimized for the major search engines, and you'll hopefully have attractive, engaging, and personalized calls to action that will encourage these wonderful prospects to the all-important I want to buy stage. Now, dropouts here can be significant and an often painful waste of so much effort if the content strategy hasn't been clearly implemented and thought through. Try hard to predict and satisfy any likely questions, but remove as many distractions as you can where possible. Ensure you remove as much friction from any form submissions and always attempt to reassure the prospect of your ethical position on privacy. This is more important today than ever before. And of course, it's always fantastic when and if it all comes together and everybody wins. Happy clients and users alike should always be the end goal. Thanks for listening. At this point, I'm going to hand you back to Andy before we continue with the rest of the webinar.
That's great, Rolf. Thank you so much for bringing it all together there at the last section. Fantastic insight shared today, and collectively a very strong message about the importance of content as a means, to educate prospects and current users while they are all in that information gathering stage, in the I want to know, I want to do, and I want to go stages of the buying cycle. All right, well, let's get right into it. So we have had a question from Natalie who has asked, where do you find it best to post content, blogs or other? And Dave, I was going to kick this one to you first.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so it depends, I guess, on what the strategy is or what you're trying to do with the piece of content. My initial reaction would say always put it on your own website first. Always have a strategy to try and bring more people to your site, but then give them a plan of what you want them to read after that. The only real reason you'd share it on any third-party websites is if they have a relevant audience that you don't have, but always primarily on your own website.
Okay. Another one here, how does SEO work across different languages? So stick with you, Dave, here on SEO.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so typically an international website will have additional suffixes to the domain name, and I recommend using href tags to tell Google which pages are relevant to which countries. But effectively, SEO works, and Google ranks pages the same worldwide, so it'll follow the same processes that we spoke about, but add href tags to the international pages.
Okay, perfect. And so just to also clarify for anyone else in the audience, this is primarily recommendation for those that have multilingual sites, so a single domain, but you can browse that site in different languages, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay, so here's a comment from Norman. I feel that script is even more important than production. Would you agree? So Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
I would agree. Yeah, I think two of the most important factors to consider when starting the video production process is like who are your target audience and then how are you going to distribute them. And all this is done in the scripting. Sometimes you'll find that people just want to throw in the kitchen sink and include loads of information with your video. All of a sudden, then you have like an 8-minute video with no valuable info until like minute 4. And it's only going to go on LinkedIn or something like that. So if you answer those two questions, it'll allow you to dictate the timing, and it'll actually give you more flexibility in production and post-production.
Yeah. And, when this came in, I couldn't help but think that effectively this comes across the gamut with content marketing. There's more time put into the foundation and the planning, regardless of the media, generates better results. Would we all agree? I mean, that's been an overriding theme in this webinar, is planning with the objectives and your goal in mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay, so here's a question Tanya has asked. Can you give an idea of a normal, reasonable budget of a video produced, as in the example that you showed or referenced?
Yeah, it's a great question, actually. I mean, budget for video depends on what you want to achieve. If you want to do like a 3D animation, that's like 30 seconds or longer, and it's as you're looking at Lord of the Rings money, you're probably talking about tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
But if you want products or like interview-related video, it can vary on multiple factors like your location, voiceover, your length of videos, and just your overall concept in terms of what you're trying to achieve. But if I was going to be like really salesy, just so I can answer Tanya's question, we charge $8,800 just to give you that sort of benchmark. But that's for like a day's filming in the US, but that's for up to 3 videos, scripted, filmed, and edited. Now, people are going to come in cheaper, they're going to come in more expensive, though one bit of advice I would give is to choose the production company that's right for you and right for your company.
Right. Great answer. Good answer. Okay, here's a question from Andrew. Are backlinks as important or more important than they used to be? Maybe Dave, you want to take this one?
Yes, please. Yeah. So I'd say they're as important as ever. They still play a crucial role. It's just changed a lot in recent years, which is for the better. You just have to be a lot more careful who you're getting links from. Do a lot of research in regards to that particular website, make sure it's relevant, and make sure it's all around the user. Is it a good user experience for them to be on that particular website that then find your website after? Don't do anything unethical. That's where you can have a serious detrimental effect. So just be more cautious than ever, I'd say.
Okay. And just because we were talking about backlinks, can you also give the audience a bit of an overview on internal link strategy and how this plays into SEO in today's, I guess, SEO strategy plan? What's the internal link strategy here? Yeah.
So again, it comes back to what is the point of creating this piece of content or posting it on your website. So if it is an application note which is then relevant to a particular product, have the strategy already in place that you will have an internal link that then leads to that particular product page. Or if obviously you want them to download it as a PDF, again, another internal linking structure could be to your call to actions. But what it does, it keeps Google within your website for longer, and you can dictate and control what other page it then goes to next. So you become more self-supportive. Pages start being supportive of each other.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, just skimming through what's coming in, and thank you to the audience that are sticking with us. These are great questions, everybody. Okay, I've got one from Shelley here. When discussing email marketing, does this strictly mean email blasts, or are you referring to something else? I'm going to pitch this at Frankie. Is that a good choice?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that one.
Okay.
Email marketing, when we discuss email marketing, we use it as a catch-all, which in our specific activities, we mean 2 things. It signifies customized emails. So that's ultra-targeted customized emails, which might go out to a very specific subset of individuals. But equally, we have our industry-specific or application-specific newsletters. So we might have a newsletter on neuroscience, or it might be analytical techniques, or it could be aerospace or automotive engineering, something like that. So that they're the industry-specific things. But if someone wanted something a bit more tailor-made, for instance, we could, in fact, I've been asked to target North American engineers who work at medical equipment manufacturers. So we can be really as specific as that with our audience filtering process. So we use email marketing as a catch-all for both those 2 terms.
Okay, fantastic. Great answer. I'm going to shift back to video. We've just had a question come in from Andre. How do you deal with pictures, videos of products used in real industrial environment? It is difficult to get the authorization from customers at times. Chris, what is, or in the entire team as well, what's the experience with this, and how have you maybe addressed this challenge?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's a challenge. Especially when you're looking for the specific proteins. That's something when it's really specific and technical.
Yep.
One of the things we do is we have a couple of really good sources that we use to get scientific imagery and stock footage to make videos appear a lot more dynamic and a lot more cinematic and a lot more sort of authentic. But again, it comes down to the scripting. If you have an idea of what you want to try and find in terms of imagery, in terms of videos, in terms of, say, for example, if you want to put some figures in the video as well, if you can plan that beforehand, you'll always have an easier chance of getting it. What we tend to do, I know, especially when we work with a host of customers, and we film videos of their customers, testimonial type videos, and when we speak with them beforehand and during as well, what we would do is we will look to get the authorization and permission, and then ultimately the files of what we can actually use in the video, and we'll sign all sort of consent forms and release forms and everything like that, and we tend to get a lot of joy that way.
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that, because that's what came to mind when I looked at this, is the looking at it from a testimonial strategy. So going in there and saying, help me with a product video, is different than saying the purpose of this project is actually to highlight what you are doing in a testimonial format, which can still bring the exposure of those products in the real industrial environment. So we meet two objectives, right? We tell a customer story, and then we also get the exposure of the equipment being used in real life, right?
Absolutely, Andy. One of the good things about that is when we actually go and shoot a testimonial, it's great to see your product or your equipment actually being filmed in a real world environment. And if you're able to see the data and the research that's been going on as well using that equipment, it's pretty good. It's pretty powerful to see as well.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And this is something that comes across our desk at Insight Scientific as well, because the webinar format allows us to sometimes do a little bit of recording with guest speakers that come in that are ultimately providing a case study, which is similar to a testimonial. And you're right, just as you said it's very powerful, because that's a lot of times what prospects and potential buyers are looking for. Show me how this is really used. What can I expect in the lab? What is it going to look like? And that pushes them towards understanding if this product is right for them, right, in their application. Can they see themselves using it? Brilliant. Okay, let's. Here's a question again from Norman. I think this is going back to email marketing and perhaps also landing page optimization on the web. But if not a read more call to action, then what would be suggested?
I'll take that one. So we, rather than just putting like a generic read more, and we've actually done a lot of work around this. We've got hundreds of thousands of content pages, content items where we can actually A/B test this. So we are often found that if you use a generic CTA, that's fine, that's pretty standard. But if you use something a bit more tailored towards the piece, again, tailored towards the reader and the user experience. So if it's not read more, it could be learn more about radiopeptide imaging, and then you hyperlink the keyword or you hyperlink the interesting bit, or equally discover more about neuroscience research. We always try and make it more relevant to that particular user. We try and put ourselves in the shoes of whoever's reading or consuming the content. So just making it specific to the user and using the keyword, hyperlinking that. Works in emails, works in blog content, works in any content that you send out.
Yeah, and then in that process, we're being specific as to what you're going to do, what you're actually going to achieve by clicking a button or following a link. The other one for email marketing is that can be very powerful, and you touched on this, is also personalization, just making the CTA for them. So specific, but also, Frankie, do this, right? Go here, which for email marketing can be done and can be for some, it calls on their list management, right? And making sure all those fields are there. But that's another strategy that I think works, right?
Absolutely. Using dynamic parameters and getting into the technical smarts of lots of marketing automation systems, you can do some really wonderful stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm going to make this our last question. We had some questions come in about SEO in general, but Dave, I'd like to ask you, should each page have a unique keyword?
Yes, it should, is the short answer. You can have potentially 2, maximum 3 very close variations of that same keyword on that same page. Mm-hmm. And just out of the interest of a homepage, homepages can typically be relevant to obviously the entire website, and it could target lots of different variations or ranges of products. So what you can do with a homepage, you could choose a particular keyword, whether that be a product, and you could use that same keyword on that product page. So effectively using 2 pages to target the same keyword, but you would never put it on more than 2 pages, that exact same term.
Very good. That's a great answer. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your day to attend this webinar. We hope you found the information presented educational and relevant to your digital marketing objectives. So in closing, thanks again for taking part in our Marketing Science webinar. We look forward to having you with us again soon. Have a wonderful day, everybody.